All right, guys, so welcome back. In this video, we're going to be making use of the reduce method, array.reduce method. All right, so for array.reduce, we simply change map to reduce. All right, we pass a function into it, and then we can pass an initial value. All right, so I'm going to change the name of this function to aggregate values. Okay, and then it gives me the current value, but in this case, it's called an accumulator. It gives me the accumulator and then the current value. So I'm going to call it current. So what I do here is accumulator plus current value, and then I expect sum of all scores. So I expect every value in this array to be summed up together and the sum returned. So if I check, you see that we get 15. All right. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6, 10, and 15. So it's correct. All right. I know it seemed like magic, but I decided to do it first before I teach you. You see how easy it is for me, right? That's how easy it's going to be for you with time. So exercise patience and stay with me. All right. Now, what does reduce do? Just as the name implies, reduce is mostly used to aggregate values. All right. So if you have an array and you want to take the elements of the array and then combine them in some way to form another value, reduce is your guy. All right. If I want to take a list of users and add all their account balances together and know the total amount of money I have, in my bank, assuming I'm the owner of First Bank, for instance, and I want to calculate for the total amount of money we have in a customer's bank account at the time, reduce is a function that comes to mind. All right. So that is it. It reduces a list of values most times to become just a single value. But when you finally understand how it works, you can be creative, and do, some crazy stuff with it. It's a very powerful method. All right. I can write this implementation in another way. So I can just copy this. So instead of refreshing it, why not just put the function inside? And that still works. So if you check, my code still runs. All right. And then again, I could also say that instead of writing the values here, why not create a variable for it? Say scores equals this, and then scores. That still works. So it depends on how you want to write your code. Okay. And then we have our reduce, we have the function, and we have this initial value. Okay. The syntax for reduce is this. So I'm gonna write it like this. Let's do this. So the syntax is gonna be array. Let's reduce. Reduce is a method. A method is a function that lives in an object. All right. So reduce, and then it accepts the first parameter it accepts is a function, and the second parameter it accepts its initial value. All right, or init, which is the initial value. Okay. So if I run this function like this and simply say accum, I'm going to get 0. So sorry, accum, correct spelling. Right. I think there's a problem with my script. Let's see. So if I return accum, I'm going to get 0. I print it to the console. The reason is because of init. So initially, now this is also going to loop. All right. It's going to cause, whatever we have in here to be run multiple times. Whatever we have in here as the function, this function is going to be run multiple times. All right. Against the values in scores. Okay. So what will happen is the first time it runs, right, accum is going to be equal to the initial value I set. All right. And then accum is used in this function. All right. So what we did was we said accum plus current value. Right. So the first time this is going to loop, for the first loop, the first iteration, what will happen is the accum will be 0. All right. And then the current value will be 1. All right. So when the function body runs, accum, which is 0 plus 1, will be what? Would be 1. Right. So let's keep 1 aside. So 1, when you say return, it means that 1 is going to be returned to accumulator. This is called accumulator. All right, it's short for accumulator. Okay. So 1 was returned. I'm going to put 1 here. 1. The second time the loop runs, right, accum is going to be 1. So this initial value is only read once. The first time the loop runs, right? The first iteration, that's when this initial value is going to be read. Okay. So the second time, from the second to the end, right, we're going to keep using accum. All right. So accum in this case, which is accumulator, is 1, and then the current value will be 2 because this is the second time the loop is running, right? So we do 1 plus 2, that's 3. So we store 3 in accum. The third time the loop runs, accum is 3. That's what we have here. The current value is what? 3. And when the body of the function runs, accum, which is 3 plus 3, it's going to be 6. So we store 6 back into accum. The fourth time the loop runs, right, accum is 6, current value is 4. So in the body of the function, we have accum 6, current value as 4, and it gives us 10. And this 10 will be stored in accum, right? So the fifth time the loop runs, which is going to be the last, because that's the last item in the array, right? Accum is going to be 10, current value is going to be 5, and then from within the body of the function, we say accum plus current value, and that's 15. So it returns 15 as the final result, all right? So we gave it multiple values, it returns a single value in the end, all right? So unlike map, which returns an array, for map returns an array, right? Reduce is going to aggregate the values, right? In fact, you could do anything. You could do it. Reduce is so powerful that I'm going to show you different things we can do with reduce, and you'll be amazed, all right? But reduce always returns a single value. That single value could be an array, could be an object, all right? It could be a primitive value. But for map will always return an array. So that's the difference between map and reduce. Reduce is more powerful, all right, in terms of the things you can do with it. So map returns a new array, reduce returns a single value of any kind. It could be object, it could be arrays, it could be any of the primitives. Okay, so that's very important. So it was easier to explain reduce. I don't know why. Perhaps because we already went through the hurdles, right, explaining map. For further reading, go online, search for MDN docs, and you would see the explanation there. All right. I'm going to try my best to do a short explaining these three functions: map, reduce, and filter. All right. So the next guy we're going to be talking about now is the filter function, array.filter.